Hello everyone and welcome. I am Kara and I really like rom-coms.
Greetings, and I am Jaren, and I really enjoy sleeping in jeans.
That's really interesting because I think that really plays into what I was picking up on earlier, which is that we both really enjoy the natural charm of being poor.
And that's an amazing coincidence, Kara, because this is
Just Kiss
already.
You are listening to Just Kiss Already. Hey y'all, welcome back.
Yeah, we're back.
Welcome back. We're a radio show now. Surprise! Just kidding. No, we're not.
Thank you for tuning in.
You listen to the radio. You have to tune so you can get
Don't tune at me.
We are back and we have watched episode 8 of Ouran High School Host Club, aka the beach episode. Remember when you thought we were gonna have like a beach-esque episode, but you went for pool episode, and now it's the beach episode.
Remember when I very confidently said they're not going to do the beach episode right after the pool episode? That would be ridiculous.
Just kidding.
No, it turns out they delivered on that promise.
Yeah,
and
they did kind of hint at it when they were like, "Hey, Haruhi, you don't want to go to the beach, do you?" And she was like, "Actually, I would love to go to the beach." And then they promptly went to the beach.
It feels so obvious in retrospect.
So yes, this is the beach episode. We are actually on the beach now, not in a jungle pool. There is sand, there is crab, there is sun,
and fun.
there is volleyball.
Yeah.
There is regular host club activities because we run a business, so we gotta keep it going.
We get to see who all the boys are at the beach.
Yeah, that's true. So we both have beach experience. You've been to the beach. I've been to the beach.
Yeah.
When you're at the beach, which beach boy are you?
So the best way to get this across, I think, is to tell a story.
Oh.
So indulge me for a moment.
I always do.
I've long said I do not like the beach. What that kind of means for me is that I don't like going to the beach on family trips because there's like just weird energy. But when I go with friends, I generally have a good time. In high school, though, I was not into the idea of having a good time at the beach. I was very determined not to, actually.
Fair enough.
So my partner at the time was like, "I'm going to take you to the beach and you're going to enjoy it."
It's
and
the
I was
teen
like,
angst.
"Oh yeah." I was like, "I'm sure this will be fine." So at the beach, I sat for 3 hours while my partner played in the ocean. I had a hat, sunglasses, an umbrella, a chair, and like 2 towels covering my entire body because I didn't want to get sunburned.
Oh no!
And I was looking at the seagulls and just kind of like watching them play and like being like, "Oh, that's interesting." And it literally, my partner came to me and was like, "You're like Russell Crowe from A Beautiful Mind. You can't go anywhere without trying to diagram the motions of like birds or like seashells or snails."
Did you grow up like close to the beach, or was it like a reasonable?
We usually went to a beach that was like 45 minutes and over a bridge.
So like a reasonable, we're making a day out of it.
Yeah, and when you make a day out of it, you have to stay there the entire time.
Yeah.
Which added to little Jaren's discontent.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't like the sun.
So you're a on the shore towel hat.
I'm a huddle boy.
100 SPF.
Don't move. Don't sweat. Don't breathe.
Just on there. So I actually grew up really close to the beach, like 20 minutes-ish, but my school was a little bit closer, so from my school, probably more like 10 to get to. Yeah, so I was really close. It was a reasonable thing that I could make a day out of, but it was also like my best friend in high school and I sometimes would be hanging out and we would just decide to go to the beach so we could walk for an hour and talk. Like it was just a thing you could do really easily. I remember sometimes after school, me and my friends would be like, "Hey, like we'll bring our swimsuits to in our backpacks and then we'll go to the beach after school."
Oh, that's so sick.
It's just a thing we could do because I was so close. So I grew up like the beach was a super normal thing. It was like, my family would go to the beach, but also my friends. It was just super common for me to be there and it was more than just like a thing that we do on vacation. It was like a constant thing we could always do.
Oh.
So I loved like playing in the water, playing in the sand, all that stuff. And I just remember once I got to a certain age, probably like middle school, early high school, I would go to the beach with some of my like childhood friends. But we'd get there and they'd lay out their towels and they'd lay down and they'd be like, it's time to tan. And I would be like, what do you mean it's time to tan? It's time to get, do you see how big those waves are? I cannot wait to get the smackdown from Poseidon.
Yeah.
You kidding? Like, me and my brother created a game that was called Fighting Poseidon, where we would stand in the water and we would yell and we'd trash talk Poseidon. We'd be like, you're so weak. And then the wave would come and you would like make a fighting motion, whether it was like punching or kicking or whatever. And if you stayed standing after the wave came, you got a point. But if you fell down, then Poseidon got a point.
Oh, dude.
We were Percy Jackson kids, you know.
I want to fight Poseidon.
But so I'm a big water. I love to be in the water, hanging out, like, I love the, like, you go to where your feet don't touch and you can kind of, like, float and, like, talk with your friends, but also, like, just ride in the waves. I used to have a boogie board, so I'm a big water boy.
Oh, that sounds so cool.
I'm very glad that, like, my friends now are also, like, we go to the beach to play and not to sit under the sun and talk. Like, the sun is so hot. Why would you want to just do that?
Unforgiving.
So, I guess in this case, let's see, we had Tamaki, who was, like, sitting on a rock, doing business, talking to the girls. We had the twins that were playing beach volleyball.
Sporty.
Sporty. We had Mori and Honey were, like, doing yoga, but also, like, searching for a seashell.
Yeah, boy. Crab collecting.
And then Haruhi was sitting on, so I guess you would be a Haruhi type.
Oh my god, you're right. I'm a Haruhi.
And I guess I could classify myself maybe kind of as the twins, because they were playing, maybe. Just depends. I would be in the water, though. Nobody was in the water. Yeah. I would be in that water.
You're here to participate.
Yeah, I guess I would be Haruhi when she jumps off of the... into the water.
Literally me when I jump into the water.
If there was a big rock, I'd be jumping off of it, I'll tell you.
Cliff diving is super scary.
I've never gone.
Oh, have you been to those water parks where they're like, here is a fake cliff for you to jump off of?
I was a springboard diver, so I have, in fact, jumped off of a very high height. But I springboard. I was only a 1 meter diver, but I did go up on the big platform and go, ooh, and jump. So.
You gotta before you jump.
Yeah, you go, whoa, it's so tall up here.
So we will get to Haruhi's big fall.
Yeah.
But we need to set up a couple things before that. We got the beach trip, which is direct follow-up to last episode.
Exactly. Now we're at the real beach.
Yeah, not this, like, fake artificial beach.
Yeah.
And then we have the fear game.
Okay, so yeah. So the whole thing is we're at the beach, yada yada, the host club is doing their activities, and it's kind of, like, brought up that, like, no matter what, Haruhi doesn't freak out. I think it's because, like, there's, like, a bug or a crab or something.
Yes, exactly.
And she's like, yo, just pick it up. And they're all like, man, is Haruhi scared of anything? And then, of course, Kyoya is like, excellent, an opportunity. He rolls in and he's like, whoever finds Haruhi's sphere will get these trading cards that I made of Haruhi.
Dude, that would be me in.
Yeah.
I'm so into trading cards.
Which, this is kind of funny because I feel like the beach episode usually kind of couples with the, like, oh, we're staying in a haunted beach house, or maybe we do the, like, test of courage where we walk through the woods. It usually kind of couples with the scary trope, but this time it's like it's Haruhi isn't scared of anything, and it's like we're trying to find her fear, and it's like.
It's interesting because, like, Tamaki's motivation for joining is that, like, the twins say, oh, she'd only show her fear to someone, like, she was really comfortable around.
Yeah, he's kind of like, yeah, no, I don't know her fear. Maybe she's just not scared of anything. And the twins are like, yeah, it's because you don't know her well enough. And he's like, oh, I do know her. I know her well enough.
I really appreciate having a heroine who, like, appears unshakable.
Yeah.
Like, there's just something really nice about seeing somebody who doesn't panic, especially when, like, a lot of humor sometimes in shows I think comes from exaggeration. Just having a character who's like, are you is this some kind of test? Are you trying to spook me right now? What's going on, y'all?
I think also, I mean, it plays into the whole, because this is a show that has characters with the, like, the rich-poor dynamic, where, like, Haruhi comes from a house where, like, if there's a cockroach, you gotta squash it. Like, that's just the way of the road. You don't have time to freak out. You gotta get it out of here.
That's an excellent point.
So, like, but they're trying all these things. They got, what is it? Honey tries claustrophobia.
Honey, the sweet, simple man that he is like, surely if I am afraid of closed, dark spaces, Haruhi might be as well. And And so he commands these, like, soldiers from Kyoya's defense force, like, close us in the crab car.
Got him.
He lasts maybe, like, all of 6 seconds.
You know.
And Haruhi's just like, oh no, poor honey.
Mori tries a harpoon.
Which I think there was a pun there or something where it's like Mori means harpoon, or one of the characters for Mori is like harpoon. So he thought she was afraid. I just thought it was very
funny that Mori just was like, look, harpoon, and she was like,
He's holding it like at her eye level.
Yeah, he's definitely not complying with like weapon etiquette.
Oh yeah, there's no OHSHC on the beach for sure.
Yeah.
No OHSHC at the ocean.
Oh.
And the twins are like, oh, paranormal.
Yeah, they're like straight to ghosts.
Oh yeah, so they check out a spooky cave, and there are other girls there who are freaking out, and then like a skelly hand grabs Haruhi's shoulder, and she goes, "Who do you think I am?"
It's a very good point. Of all the things, they're like, Haruhi will be afraid of ghosts. Like, come on. Haruhi's... If anything, Kyoya would have won by just being like, I'm adding money to your debt. Because Haruhi is afraid of debt.
Honestly, it does feel like a foregone conclusion.
I can't believe no one thought of this.
If Haruhi's place had a ghost, she'd be like, are you going to pay rent? Or...
So yeah, we're trying to find out what Haruhi's spooked of. Nothing is working.
You know what would scare me, though?
What?
Tamaki's choice.
Oh.
Which is a Snucket.
That's right. He's like, snakes are spooky, but then he has a whole bucket full of them.
He's got a Snucket full of sunshine, and he's not afraid to just kind of, like, throw it.
Here you go.
But I think, wasn't there a thing where they weren't native to the region and they ended up being venomous snakes?
I think so.
Yeah. So... actual real-life human danger. Very scary. Don't pick up snakes.
Don't pick up snakes.
Mm-hmm. Crabs, okay, though. You can take as many of those as you want.
Yeah, that's fine. But Haruhi is obviously someone who does not have fear. And we also know because of her background that she has had to be very independent. Like, you know, she's lived in a household where you have to pick up the bug. You can't be like, oh no, someone has to kill the bug. It's just, you gotta.
There's definitely the element to this episode that's framing her unshakableness as self-reliance.
Yeah.
Like, the idea that being afraid of something would mean that you have to depend on someone else.
Yeah. So then we get into the stereotypical, there's some creepy dudes at the beach who are just like, oh, hey, girls, do you want to come hang out with us? And they're like, you look like adults and we're in high school.
Yep.
Also, this is private property. And we're like, okay.
Yeah, and Haruhi, in like a split-second decision, holding a bucket of sea urchins, throws them at the delinquents. And
literally.
It, like, sticks in their back, and then she draws heat from them. And they're like, oh, kid, you should go for a swim. And they shove her off a cliff.
Yeah, you know, really a lot of interesting choices were made.
She gets straight up Mufasa'd at the beach. And Tamaki has to dive in after her and rescue her.
Yeah.
And then we get into one of the interesting thematic parts of this episode for me, which was Tamaki being very frustrated that Haruhi is going in kind of like half-cocked without help.
Yeah. So this episode, as you've probably figured out, is kind of I don't know if I want to say controversial, but I think everyone kind of acknowledges this episode as like, maybe not the best. But I think the best way that I kind of like to describe it is that I think that this episode had a well-meaning message, but I don't think it went about it the right way. Or maybe I should just say, like, it kind of ends up showing a little bit of datedness of this series because I don't think things were handled the right way. There was a lot of unnecessary kind of like focus on gender roles.
Yes.
There was kind of a part of the argument where they were being like, you're a girl and you're not as strong as a boy. And it's like there were aspects of it that are like, that's not good or cool. And we've kind of realized that that's not how you go about these things. Yeah. But I do think that the message they were trying to get across, which was this kind of balance between being independent, relying on people around you, being reckless for the sake of others versus like, you know, like, it's,
There's a lot there, and some of it gets lost in articulation.
Yeah,
I would agree that this feels like an odd episode out because I've gotten wise now. Like, as I'm watching this, I'm like, okay, what do I think is going to happen versus what would the authors of this throw my way to kind of show me how silly I'm being. So the first time through that I watched this, I was like, oh, everybody's kind of like not shaming Haruhi, but they're being like, you have to be mindful of the fact that you are a woman.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this going to end with her showing them the error of their ways and being like, well, just because I'm a woman doesn't mean that I'm not capable of defending myself or whatever. Yeah. But as it goes on, we kind of get the information from the other characters that they're like, you know, we were all worried too. Like, this isn't just Tamaki, but like, it was scary for us to see you going in the situation, and you could have gotten really hurt.
Yeah.
It feels like they were trying to send the message of, like, don't be afraid to rely on others, call for help.
Yes.
Versus how it came out as, like, you are a girl and we are men. And it feels more like a roles thing where it's like, we are supposed to protect you.
Yeah. I think also probably one of the biggest issues for me was if this was a situation of, like, I don't know, like, if Haruhi had gone up to them and, like, punched them in the face or something, if it was, I feel like the way that the situation reads to me is that Haruhi saw that her classmates, her friends, her whatever, were in danger, and her first decision was, I need to step in and help them out. And I think that she did so, she utilized, as opposed to, like, coming in and being like, I'm just gonna punch this guy. Like, she was like, I have something I can do. I'm going to stand a reasonable distance and throw this on them. I think that there were a lot of smart choices smart choices made. But I do think there was kind of, like, a recklessness, I guess. But at the same time, like, she saw them in need of help, and she decided to step in. And you could make the argument that if she had gone and asked for someone else's help, she could have maybe been too late.
Yes.
Like, I don't think that Haruhi is the kind of person that would be, like, that wouldn't weigh those options. And I also think that it's admirable of Haruhi to step in a situation like that. And it felt like we were kind of getting gypped when those decisions that she made that did actually end up helping out, even if they did end up putting her in danger, were never acknowledged. Nobody was ever like, you know what, like, we are glad that you stepped in because we understand that you were doing this to help someone who you saw was in need. And then kind of adding on to it, but you need to be aware of the fact that, like, putting yourself in danger is then just like, no one is happy with anybody being in danger, and like, we would have preferred, I don't know, just it makes me kind of mad that nobody was ever like, but also thanks, Haruhi.
You're right. I really feel like there's a version of this episode where you have everybody saying their same feelings.
Yeah.
And then you have the two girls coming up and be like, thank you, that was very scary. Yeah. And one of the things that I realized is there was a numbers difference when Haruhi joined. Haruhi presenting male made 3 people against these 2 guys.
Yeah.
Which, in a split-second decision, is a big deal.
Yeah.
And the thing that I noticed when you were talking just now is I trust Haruhi's judgment.
Right?
How dare this show make me feel like I shouldn't? Like, because she's the most level-headed person in this entire cast.
Literally. I would put so much more thought that Tamaki would make a stupid decision than Haruhi would. Like, just because of how she's been presented. And it feels so unfair that level-headedness was almost shoved away. And it was treated as though she made a stupid decision.
Yes.
And I mean, like, if I look at it from my perspective, if I saw 2 scary dudes and 2 of my female friend classmates who are obviously shorter and younger than them, I would feel bad if I didn't step in that moment. Yeah. Even if it meant potentially putting myself in danger. Like, this is also like a rom-com. It was dramatized. Yes. You know, I also do think that maybe it's really unlikely that their retaliation would be trying to shove me off of a cliff. But, like, if I think about it, especially because from the way that it was framed, like, they're on top of a rock. Like, if Haruhi was to go and get somebody, it would have taken a lot more time. Yeah. I'll say it again. I feel gypped that Haruhi's good deed, Haruhi's, like, the notion of understanding that this might cause her harm, this might put her in a dangerous situation as well, but wanting to step in for the sake of people to protect them was never acknowledged, never praised. Just because, well, you were in danger and we were all worried. It's like, that's fair, but come on, give her some credit.
This feels almost like a mishandled trope, because I'm very used to other shows where you have shonen protagonist who is putting themselves in danger because, like, they need to protect or they need to do this. Yeah. And normally in those shows you have the moment where, like, they go too far. Like, they do get hurt, and then their friends have to talk sense into them and be like, we care about you. Yeah. And I feel like Haruhi doesn't get that moment of, like, oh, like, I really could have been in danger. It's just kind of handled quietly at a dinner table. Yeah. And it feels like there needed to be a bigger realization. Yeah. Which, going along with her character, like, she does handle it calmly and assimilate this new information. Yeah.
But I guess also maybe it was just the vocabulary used. And I mean, to be fair, we are watching a translated show. But it was all framed as, like, we were worried for you and you need to apologize.
I did not like that.
There was a lot of that, like, you need to apologize. Like, that was such a heavy focus, and that could easily be language, or that could even just be like cultural, I don't know, but like it didn't feel right to me.
Yeah, because they're basically saying you need to be more concerned about our feelings and the safety of these two strangers.
Yeah.
Or not even strangers, classmates.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I get, like, obviously the people who you are closer with and you care more about, you're going to be more concerned for them, but like, Haruhi stepped in.
It's also a little bit weirder when you take on the dimension of what we learn later, where the twins destroyed those punks.
Yeah.
Like, we see in the thought bubble of them just, like, going to town.
Yeah, they just,
Which
everybody has martial arts training, apparently.
Yeah. Nobody's talking to the twins about, like, hey, you guys engaged in hand-to-hand combat with these two drunk older kids.
Yeah, which, yeah, you could argue again, like...
On the same cliff.
Yeah, like, this isn't... I mean, yeah, I understand that maybe the twins have more resources, more training, whatever, but I would still be like, you put yourselves in danger and I'm your friend and I
you need to apologize to me, yeah.
Yeah, like, that's true. Especially with the gender framing, it just makes it all feel off.
Yes.
And it doesn't give me the satisfaction that the right lesson was learned, the right realization was had.
Yeah, it feels like one of those things where I couldn't come away and tell you what was learned, aside from maybe ask for help. And that's with our generous kind of extrapolation of this theme.
Also, this is the episode that has the really weird Kyoya bedroom thing.
Yeah.
Which
I've heard is...
uncomfy,
and also is sort of makes this like an infamous episode.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Because... So there is an existing trope in romance media that is this kind of idea of like aggression as education. I've totally seen it before in shows done as a means to be like, hey, stop thinking of me as just a friend. Mm-hmm. I'm somebody who has, like, interest in you. And while I don't think that's good, it seems like it was kind of following along that line of, like, you need to, realize that there are... It's also done in a sense of, like, main girl is naive, I'm doing air quotes right now, and wants to believe the best of another male character who does, in the end, have malicious or have weird intentions towards her. Mm-hmm. And that aggression by a more trustworthy, the male lead, whatever you want to say, is used to be like, hey, people are bad and can do bad things to you, and you need to be more aware of that.
Yeah.
Still weird. I just don't think if anybody cabedons me to a bed, I feel like I'm just going to be like, hey, you're weird.
Start yelling.
I don't like that, you know?
The thing that about this episode that I'm realizing as we're talking about it is that it feels a little confused.
Yes.
And with this whole Kyoya thing, there's three sort of lines of thought that I go into this with that are making me realize, like, man, this is a fucking muddled message.
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, this is Kyoya very directly demonstrating, like, not all men are trustworthy. Just because you think you know me doesn't mean, like, you have reason to feel 100% safe around me all the time. Like, your guard is down.
Yeah.
So I push you onto this bed to demonstrate what we were talking about earlier at the dinner table, that you need to think about things more clearly before rushing into situations.
Yeah.
And then there's also the compounding thing of, is this Kyoya's attempt at the fear game? Because we left him off the list earlier. And it felt like maybe he took it to a very gross, uncomfortable place. Yeah. Like, oh, she's not afraid of ghosts or bugs or snake, maybe assault. And it's like, that's not fucking cool.
No bueno.
And especially with the way he's been established as this character who doesn't seem to think about the little considerations, i.e. sending a police force to go capture a couple of your friends. He's very much a hammer when all you need is a nail type guy. And the other thing that was kind of bothering me about this is that, like you were saying with aggression as, like, breaking down the wall between friend and romantic interest.
Yeah.
Kyoya has not kind of participated in the romance shenanigans up to this point.
Yeah.
And he has a scene as he's leaving after he passes Tamaki and leaves Haruhi, where she wasn't worried about him at all. She trusted him. She was like, you're weird, like, you have nothing to gain from this. You're the kind of person who only does something if they have something to gain from it.
Yeah.
And he walks away going, like, like, you'd think I wouldn't have anything to gain by, like, wanting to kiss you? And it's like, it's a really weird way to have this character who we know so little about.
Yeah, we haven't really had, like, a Kyoya-centric episode or anything like that.
It's also just weird that we know about his wealth and power the most.
Yeah.
And then we have this really charged, uncomfortable scene with him that ends with him being like, yeah, you know, maybe I like you too.
Yeah.
And I did not want it to be done that way.
It's unfortunate, because at the end of the day, you gotta remember that it's a romance show. It is a reverse harem. The implication is that everybody is gonna fall in love with the girl. But you're right. Kyoya has been kind of treated as like he's always, you know, his main concern is the money, the business of the club. He tends to kind of be very detached from the things that are happening, whereas we can see plain as day how Tamaki feels. But even like the twins, you know, even if they kind of frame it as a like, we're just playing around, it's obvious that they are invested in the situation in some way.
Absolutely.
Whereas Kyoya kind of seems like the only thing he's been invested in is this money. But at the same time, as the show has gone, every time there's like a thing that happens, like, you know, they dress up Haruhi in pretty dress, and Kyoya is there also looking and being like, yeah.
Yes.
Like, he has been there, but it hasn't really been highlighted. This is the first time they kind of highlighted that, hey, maybe he has skin in this game too. But in this way is not a fun way to see that. Would have been a lot better if it was instead just kind of like a quiet conversation. I just feel like there was not enough talking for the actual issue we were trying to address.
It's the same problem. It doesn't feel like a resolution was reached that I could articulate.
Yeah.
It feels like there's a lot up in the air, and I'm like doubtful whether that will be addressed. Like if we're going to reference the beach episode in a later episode.
Yeah. So we end on this note of, or I guess we end the conflict. Haruhi realizes that she put herself in danger and that would make her friends worry, which is fair, but we don't get the resolution that at least I wanted. I'm sure not the one that you wanted.
Yeah.
But we do learn Haruhi's fear.
We do.
Which is
thunder.
Which I feel like when I first watched this show, it felt kind of like, thunder, like that's a thing that kids are scared of. It's given good explanation for that, but also at the same time, like thunder is a practical thing.
Yeah.
Like, I understand it's like loud noise, but like thunder comes with lightning. I've seen lightning like strike a tree. It's a real thing that happens. It's not a ghost that we're not sure. Paranormal, if any ghosts are listening, sorry. Have a good day. I don't know. Just in case. Gotta cover all my bases.
All of our ghost listeners out there.
Yeah, listen, I'm covering all my bases, just making sure. But, like, and it's not something that you can have easy control over, like a bug in your house or a snake that you could easily take. Like, there's nothing you can do about thunder, lightning.
You can't fight the rain. There's nothing actionable there.
It's so understandable. And then we also have the explanation of, like, you know, she's from a small household. There have been times where she had to weather storms like that alone that are very, like, thunder can be very scary. As someone who hears thunder and is like, whoa, thunder's scary. Like, listen, it's big, scary, loud. Big flash, not good. Power go out, bad.
Very bad.
It's cold. Or maybe hot. Who knows? It's just not good. No temperature regulation, bad.
Yes. She goes about this in the most Haruhi way as well, which goes back to the theme of like self-reliance. Like something that is very scary to her happens and she goes, if you'll excuse me, and climbs into like a small confined space in this wardrobe. Yeah. And then you have Tamaki literally opening the door and reaching out to her to be like, hey, I'm here to support you.
Yeah. Which I am glad that we had that kind of warm, like, because, you know, this is all in reference back to the fact that Haruhi is independent. She's had to solve a lot of problems on her own, which was kind of played up on the, like, you know, Haruhi encountered a problem. She's not really had a support system to fall back on before, so she solved it the way that she would normally, which is by taking action herself. And it was kind of nice to have this, like, you have people that you can rely on now moment. I'm glad that we had that. I wish that would have been more of the resolution than the weird apology, weird Kabedon, weird gender thing. I wish we could have just kind of like, I don't know, maybe had like a conversation where they kind of realize like I do things on my own and they're like, well, now you have a support system. Also, somebody acknowledges Haruhi for being a good person and stepping in when she saw another woman in danger. Like, listen.
There's so much you could do there with like, it's all the pieces are there. They're just not highlighted. Yeah. Like the twins, they're like, oh, our mom in all these swimsuits. Yeah. And the Kyoya's police force that's like giving things to Honey out of respect. Yeah. And like Tamaki has the entire club support and the support of all these girls. And it's like, we could have shown that there was nobody there for Haruhi until the club in a better way. Yes, and I agree. I love that the message of this episode is you have new ways of solving problems when you are not alone. Things that you could not deal with before are better because she does cling to Tamaki. Yeah. You get the sense that she derives like real comfort from that. And then he even goes further by being like, hey, here are earplugs and a blindfold.
Let's
so
think of ways to, help you out.
Like, we are going to make sure that you can do this in the way that you can handle it by yourself as well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here when you need it, and then I'll help you develop a way to deal with this.
Yeah, because I'm not always going to be there,
Exactly. And then it gets twisted into him doing S&M stuff with her by the rest of the group walking in.
Yeah, they walk in and they're like, oh, whoa, Haruhi.
Blindfolded and earplugged. Oh.
Tamaki, what is you doing?
And he's like, no.
He's like, I'm trying my best. And then Haruhi is like, I see now. Mm-hmm. You were just trying to trick me into funny BDSM joke. And it's like, no.
She literally looks at him and she's like, I let you get away with something without even realizing.
And then they leave the beach and leave him there.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Oh, man. So, yes, that is the beach episode.
Mm-hmm.
the somewhat infamous, I shouldn't even say somewhat, the infamous beach episode.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know what? I think same with any other media that has points of it that we've either learned from that are problematic. I am glad that this episode, at the end of the day, had good things that it was trying to do. Mm-hmm. I just kind of stand by that point that I don't think the message was framed correctly, and I also don't think going about teaching the message was right. But,
It does feel like they tried to kill an entire flock of birds with one stone, and so we have to look at it and go, what were you aiming for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So other than the kind of weird tropes that we already talked about, we also have This Is the Beach Day, which is a classic trope. You gotta go to the beach.
Everybody gets one.
Everybody goes to the beach. We also have, I guess, kind of like fears is a thing that's often used.
I would agree that, like, what a character is afraid of is used to say stuff about them.
Yeah.
And so it's a common thing.
Motivation. It's also used, I think, in rom-com stuff as an excellent time for characters to cling to one another and be vulnerable to one another. Ooh. We love the ghost episode, which this was not, but...
Ooh, now I gotta add ghost episode to the guessing list.
You gotta have a beach episode.
And
you gotta have a ghost episode. Yeah. I think those are the only two real requirements.
Honestly, I don't think I can disprove that claim.
Maybe like a cultural festival / sports day, something of the like.
I would love
for school shows at least.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We've also got the reintroduction of creepy dudes for plot.
That's right, which last time we had subverted, and this time we kind of had blatantly called out because they were like, how are you even here? This is private property. And they were like,
we're here for plot reasons. Things need to happen. We drive the primary conflict.
We're in college and we're drunk.
And we're on a beach. God.
For no reason. So yeah, nice little... Oh, I actually did think it was kind of interesting that we had the creepy dude thing happen, but this time it was kind of subverted, not really, but we had a double save. Mm-hmm. Usually this is used as a great reason for the male lead to come in and kind of like swoop in for the heroine and be like, I can save you.
Yeah.
Yet this time it was used to push the narrative of the show about reckless decisions, yada, yada, yada. And we kind of had like a double save where Haruhi first comes in and helps out these girls. But then it's turned where now Haruhi is the one in danger and Tamaki has to swoop in and
Interesting.
Save her. Yeah.
I would say this was a triple save then.
Ooh.
Because we have Haruhi coming to the rescue of the girls, Tamaki coming to the rescue of Haruhi.
Yes.
And her not having the typical response of like appreciation. She's like, oh, thanks. Like, I'm sorry I made you worry.
Yeah.
But she is appreciative when he saves from thunder.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. We at the end of the day, we get the save that we wanted the whole time.
The save that was promised.
Yeah, the promised save. Oh man! So next episode, what do you think is?
All right. I'm proud of myself for this idea.
Oh.
Because I've taken it out of my hands.
Oh.
I went to a trope generator and I clicked around a few times until I saw one that I thought was plausible.
Excellent. Very good.
We landed on bed sharing.
There was only one bed.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do?
So I'm very excited because I feel like this one has a lot of potential to be right. I feel like there's escalating like romanticism throughout these episodes. And Tamaki was literally writhing on a beach chair, into Haruhi that I'm like, which character? I'm not.
That's what I was about to ask. Is who do you think has to share?
It's not a question of if; it's a question of who. Honestly, I feel like Haruhi trusts Mori the most.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mori would literally just be like, my back is a wall. Like,
is that who you want, or is that what you think is going to happen?
I want it to be Honey, and I want it to be framed as like everybody subtly arguing their case, and Honey has already fallen asleep on the bed. And he's like, well, the rabbit takes up most of the bed, but like I can squeeze in on this
They're
side.
all fighting, and Honey walks up to Haruhi and is like, well, we're the two shortest, so it makes the most sense for us to share. And Haruhi's like, ah, yes, logic, I respond to this.
Yes. He's like, I brought you a sleeping bunny. It's good for your hips.
He's like, we have matching pajamas.
Oh, you know he sleeps with one of those little hats.
Oh,
like, he's gotta.
And it's taller than him.
Yeah.
It's like it drags on the floor. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ebenezer Honey, you will be visited by 3 tropes.
Oh! The only one bed. You will be visited by the sports day.
Yes.
And you will be visited by
the ghost of beach day past.
Oh yeah.
Good shit.
All right, sounds good. I am excited to see how many beds. Next episode. Will it be one? Will it be two? Will it be? You know, this would be a really great couple with like a school trip kind of deal, because everyone thinks Haruhi's a boy.
I know. I want more cross-dressing shenanigans.
Yeah,
if I'm honest.
I mean, we've had some, but I think we could definitely use more.
Yeah,
you can always use more cross-dressing shenanigans.
Pepper it in.
All right, well, you will have to tune in next time to find out how many beds are in Ouran High School Host Club, if there are any at all. But catch y'all next time in the next episode when we watch episode 9. Thank you guys, as always, so much for listening. Love you. Mwah, 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 mwah. All right, bye.
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 Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.